Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Geeknd Live. And I think my microphone's on. I'm Jamie. Lore and Easter eggs galore is how I'd sum up Andor episode 4, the current Star Wars series doing the rounds on Disney Plus, which we're going to talk about here with spoilers and all. If you're watching live, let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'll be over real soon. Hello to Alexandra. Saw that you were here first. If you're watching on the replay, aka the future, leave a comment. I might come to it. Right then. My thoughts on Andor episode 4. First of all, this series might still be too slow for some after that slight gear change during episode 3. I get that, but I personally don't feel it. I love the time that we're getting for character development and world building. The latter is something I think this episode did really well. Some great world building, some lovely lore as well. And it was great to see Coruscant. Not a surprise, as it's been in the trailers. That's surely not a spoiler unless you've avoided all the trailers. But Coruscant did look different in Andor. This show does have its own aesthetics generally, but Coruscant looks a lot less suave or elegant, and instead more kind of like imperial. Funnily enough, oppressive, which was probably intentional. I'm thinking this is a different time, after all, from what we saw in the prequels under the Republic. Staying on Coruscant, what else? The ISB, that was cool, with the main older dude being one of the best Imperial officers in a long, long time. No offense, General Hux. I like that. I like that a lot. That's really interesting. And looking forward to spending more time in that ISB. Also on Coruscant, we got to go into Mon Mothma's house, and that doesn't happen often in Star Wars. Coruscant cribs, getting an insight into domestic life, Mon Mothma's domestic life with her douchey husband. I really like that, and I'm actually looking forward to dinner. I'm always looking forward to dinner, actually, but the dinner that her and douchey husbands were talking about, which I guess will be episode 5, the dinner, or this series really will be slow if they don't get to dinner in season 1. One of the guests particularly has got me interested. Sly Moore. Sly Moore is a character I've always been intrigued by. I'm not going to lie. I don't know much about Sly Moore. I know that she's Palpatine's bald-headed aide. I don't know much about her in the legends or in canon, apart from the glimpses we got of her in the prequels. Very small glimpses, but just visually a character that always got me quite interested. So this is exciting. She's a guest at the dinner party and might offer a portal into what old Palps is up to at the moment, or what he's thinking. Maybe we'll eventually see him, perhaps at a dinner party as well. But this is our first, the Empire was introduced finally. I say finally. The Empire was introduced in this episode, and I feel like the next episode, through Sly Moore, assuming this happens, we're getting that extra kind of step towards the top end of the Empire with Palpatine. And who knows? Who knows? It's completely possible that Ian McDiarmid would definitely do it. We know that. He popped up in Kenobi. It's completely possible and reasonable that he might show up at some point. But I do think they might hold off on, although we can no longer say that they don't do Easter eggs or fan service with this series, which we'll come on to in a moment. I do think they'll hold off on bringing in any major players from Star Wars in general, Star Wars over the years gone by, until maybe the end of this season, but more likely season 2, in my opinion. What else? I really like the contrast with the birth of the rebellion on what looked like the Scottish Highlands with TIE fighters, where they're sleeping rough and eating weeds, compared to how the other half live on Coruscant, and all the undercover spy stuff. That's what I wanted from this series, and I think we'll get more of it. I loved Luthen's transition into the well-mannered antiques dealer, practicing the mannerisms on ship, getting into character and Mon Mothma arriving at the store and the new driver, the lack of trust there. Slipping in and out of character as they went around the store into the back room. Just speaking of which, that's really where the Easter eggs came in. Antique Easter eggs, which we'll come on to. We'll go through some of them in a moment. But first of all, let me just pop over to the chat. As you probably can tell, I enjoyed this episode. Alexandra Starr was the first one here. Power Droid Girl, who I know, is the mic on? You scared me then. I'm pretty sure the mic's on. Thank you for confirming, everybody. Power Droid Girl, I know, enjoyed this episode. Matthew Stokesy, hope you're doing good. Hope you're lurking good, my friend. Haven't seen you for a while. I love you, baby. Jane Flakes is here, who I also know enjoyed this episode. Good evening to you. Peter, I want to know if you enjoyed this episode. I know you weren't too keen on the first three. Rob H, hello to you. It's Jamie, but James is fine. I'm used to it. Anders Lay, hope you're doing good, matey. Simon D is in the house. And also Chris is from Explaining Computers as well. Thank you for making it. If you have just joined, I've given my thoughts, generally anyway, on Andor episode 4. Let me know yours in the live chat, or if you're watching in the future, stick around. We're going to go through some Easter eggs in a moment, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And all of you, whether you're in the present or in the future, hit that like button. It's the right thing to do. Glenn the Geeky Hippie's here, and also commenting on Slime Moore. Jones Capone is here, still behind an Andor, so diving out before it's too late. Good to see you briefly, Jones. Simon D, Slime Moore is in a couple of good cut scenes in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith 2. As is, Mon Mothma, Jimmy Smith's cutscenes, which Simon put into his fan edit. Yeah. Have I seen the Slime Moore deleted scenes? I'm pretty sure I have. I'm going to check back on the Attack of the Clones ones, but definitely seen Mon to the Mothmas and the Jimmy Smith's Bail Organa scenes. What else? Alexandra Starr, not sold on Andor yet, though it does seem infinitely more real to lore than Kenobi or the awful Book of Boba. Maybe it will grow more on my ass series progresses, but right now I'm ambivalent. Right now as the series progresses, I'm hearing a bit of that. I'm hearing best Star Wars series yet. I'm not quite in that camp yet, but equally I'm not hearing 100% love for it. Equally, I am off Twitter at the moment, although I have had to briefly log in to show you something in a moment in regards to those Easter eggs. So I'm not getting the full kind of scope of reactions to this series really on the internet, but I am seeing, not universal love, but I'm certainly seeing a lot less negativity and anger, hate, and we all know what that leads to in regards to this series compared to Boba and Kenobi. The super glued extra horns on the sheep in the Highland pen tickled me. It is the Scottish Highlands, isn't it? I mean, we know it's in the UK, and it's too big, isn't it, right, to be anywhere in England, Lake District, Peak District. It's not peaky enough. It's too peaky to be the Peak District, I think. Peter did enjoy this episode, or at least compared to the others. This was the best episode by quite some margin so far. Good to hear that, Peter. Alexandra does say it's not the best Star Wars series, but not the worst. We all know what the worst is for you. I'd probably agree with you as well on Book of Boba Fett there. Glenn the Geeky Hippie, I think we've now seen more in one episode of Mon Mothma than we've seen of her in total before, and that includes the original appearance in Return of the Jedi as well. Rob H, Andor is so good that it's hard to believe Lucasfilm produced it after the Kenobi debacle. I don't agree with Kenobi being a debacle. I think it was far from perfect, but I do agree that these two series just completely, it's black and white, in terms of how they look, the quality of them, and that goes for not just the way it looks, but the way it's acted, the writing as well. I think it's in another league. Saying that, for the most part, I did enjoy Kenobi. Matthew Stokes, Star Wars is like curry. Some prefer korma, some prefer vindaloo. I think so far Andor is a madras. Is that a good? See, I'm a king prawn biryani kind of guy with a paneer saag side and preferably a peshwari naan. That might be me for tomorrow, Mr. Stokes. You got me thinking. So do you like madras? Is this a good thing? I mean, for me, curry is life. All curries are good, so I think it's probably a good thing. All right, let me just bring Simon D says it's where they filmed Skyfall, which was definitely in Scotland, supposed to be in Scotland, not in a galaxy far, far away. All right, everybody. Let me just bring up in regards to Easter eggs. Oh, but before I do, we've had confirmation. Panic over, everybody. Matthew Stokes does like a madras, so he is liking Andor so far, and he is also now hungry, just like me. Well, you started it, and I'm genuinely going to get a curry tomorrow night. It was happening anyway, but you have made me look forward to it even more. All right, so let's talk Easter eggs. There was a lot of them, and thanks to Anders Lay on the Patreon Discord group, this was brought to my attention. I say thanks. It did mean I had to log into Twitter again, though, which is not something I wanted to do. But I've logged in on the Geeknd account, which, to be honest, I don't use very often. So even when I was on Twitter, never used very often. So not much popped up. Not much popped up to annoy me. Right, but this is from Andersley. But courtesy, really, the real thanks should go to Nathan Messer, who has done not a completely comprehensive thread of the Easter eggs. Certainly not all Easter eggs, but it's all the Easter eggs he found. And, just to say, some of you will know this, I am terrible at spotting Easter eggs. I'm great at eating them. I'm happy to consume them when somebody hands them to me or points them out to me. I am terrible at spotting them. There was one I did spot, which is not on Nathan's thread, which I'll come to in a moment. But here's what Nathan spotted. Thank you again to Nathan and also to Anders. First of all, and I think this has been widely talked about, Grogu's trending. Ugh, James Corden's trending. Mandalorian armor in the background in the antique store. The Calicori, which those who have seen Rebels might recognize. Nathan doesn't think this is the exact one that Hera is handling, as you can see in the image on the right-hand side, but it's at least referencing this here. More Rebels, the world between worlds, a broken piece of the wall door connecting the world between worlds, as seen in Star Wars Rebels. See, none of this I spotted. I did have an idea of this, though. Starkiller, a very clear reference to Starkiller's armor as seen in The Force Unleashed. So this is what was seen in Andor. And this is what you would see in The Force Unleashed. And that was all on Nathan's thread here anyway. There might be more actually, but anyway, people jumped in and somebody, I can't remember who now, so sorry for not giving you the credit. Somebody actually posted this on the Discord earlier as well. Indy's whip on some carbonite, which is pretty cool. We probably do need some confirmation that it is Indy's whip, or at least supposed to be. But certainly a little chunky bit of carbonite there, isn't it? Yeah. And what anymore? Oh, yes, Sith and Jedi holocrons. And apparently the stones from the Temple of Doom as well. So this, for all the YouTubers that do so well at breaking down these shows and pointing out these Easter eggs, they were given very little to do in 3 episodes in Andor. But they can keep going forever now just based on this 4th episode of Andor. And it was pretty much all in one scene, in the background of this one scene. A helmet that looked a lot like one of the Wookiee helmets from Revenge of the Sith. And here's the one that I did actually spot. I'm very proud of myself. A Gungan shield from the Phantom Menace, of course. Loads more. Any that we've not mentioned, feel free to throw it in the comments or in the live chat. Hello to Clays as well. I can see that you've shown up about time too. Good to see you. Got the sound on for you especially. So yeah, lore galore, Easter eggs galore as well. Rob H says Diego Luna is such a good performer as well. Don't like that they retconned his Rogue One. Never been in a prison line though. Thought they'd bend over backwards to uphold it, like Anakin not meeting Grievous in the Clone Wars. Continued in another comment. Yeah, I've heard a bit of criticism for Diego Luna. In fact, one of my friends criticized him, saying they just don't think he's a very good leading man. I personally disagree. Have you seen Narcos Mexico? Andor says, I lost it when I saw Starkiller's armor in the episode. Simon D, by the way, did James Corden have a cameo in The Last Jedi? I think he was a pilot that got blown up, but didn't know if it's true. Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I hope he was blown up and therefore we won't see him again unless they do a prequel of his character. But yeah, I don't know if it's true. There was The Last Jedi, Gareth Edwards certainly had a cameo. I believe Gary Barlow of Take That and of Gary Barlow had a cameo. And was it The Last Jedi Ed Sheeran's? No, I think that was The Rise of Skywalker. I think The Last Jedi was Tom Hardy's cameo, which got cut, I think. But I heard the rumor about you know who, but I don't know if it's true. Pablo Hidalgo responded to the Twitter suspicions, writing, sounds like they're confusing Mr. Corden with the pilot played by Jamie Christopher. That's from Glenn the Geeky Hippie. So, yeah. Just seeing if I've missed anything in the chat. Let me know your Gaz and Fluffy. Gaz and Fluffy's got a friend who's in this episode. Well, his droid was about 28 minutes in. What do you mean his droid was? Is he a droid builder? Wow, cool. Who's your friend? Who's the droid? Oh, Simon D likes bananas and spinach in his curries. I love curry. You should start a curry channel, to be honest. Right. I think. Am I frozen? Don't scare me with technical comments. Am I frozen? I'm back. I'm here. Anyway, let me know your scores, your ratings for this episode. Get your final thoughts in. I think I've caught up with the messages. If I missed anything that you have a burning desire for me to see, to get off your chest, then copy and paste it back in, would you? But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, actually. Again, I'm not in the camp of best Star Wars series yet. I do think the gold standard still is The Mandalorian at the moment. However, I think this is a better show in so many ways to The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian, as things stand, and bearing in mind, we've got 12 episodes, 8 more episodes to come of Andor. I think The Mandalorian is a better Star Wars show at the moment. But I think Andor is a better show. It's a really good TV show. A very good, high quality TV show at that. And, you know, it's getting more and more Star Wars. This episode certainly was. And, you know, the Empire is going to continue to play a bigger role in this. You know, the rebellion's going to slowly be born. It's only going to become more like a Star Wars show. That's not a criticism. But at the moment, The Mandalorian very much, you know, it just feels like Star Wars and done really well. I think this is a better show generally. But at the moment, not a better Star Wars show. Whatever. So yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. I'm interested to see where it goes. You know, it's very impressive the way it looks. Still loving the real life locations that are being used. And one day, I might even do one of my old location videos again for Andor, as so many of them, or all of them, pretty much are in the UK. Not exactly on my doorstep, some of them, Scottish Highlands being one. But hey, who knows? Who knows? So I'm going to give this episode... You'll have to wait. I'm going to go over to the chat now so I can see some scores coming in. Let me find... Gaz and Fluffy Doe, first of all. He's part of the UK Droid Builders Club. It was an orange R5 droid, Nick Harbour. Cool, that's great that they're still using... because Lee Townsend, who I interviewed for the channel, and a few others got used for the sequel trilogy and they were fans building droids. I think for the UK Droid Builders Club as well. So it's great that they're still using them in the productions. I think that's great fan service, literally. All right, Chris. Why would you not follow not Chris, James Flakes. Why would you not follow a curry channel? That's like curry is life. You can't reject a channel based on curry. Okay, Chris, I liked this episode. A 9 out of 10 for me. More of a Star Wars vibe than, say, the first two. Yeah, absolutely. And I think those Star Wars vibes are only going to continue at least, and possibly grow as well. The Madras Lorian. Yeah. Although Madras isn't my favorite curry. And at the moment, The Mandalorian is my favorite Star Wars TV series. So how do we work that into a King prawn biryani on? It doesn't work. Simon, I'll leave that one with you. Episode 4 from Glenn the Geeky Hippie gets an 8.7 out of 10 from me. Okay, so we've had a 9. We've had an 8.7 out of 10. Anders, 9 out of 10 for the story. So based on the story. But if you throw in those delicious Easter eggs, then we're looking at a 10 out of 10. And as Anders said, he lost it when he saw the Star Killer outfit in the background. So again, very high scores. The lowest so far is an 8.7 from Glenn, the Geeky Hippie. Oh no, I have seen an even lower one, an actual genuinely low one. But first of all, Leona, Powdroy Girl, by the way, who has named this stream for the Andor series, Andor Analysis, and Jones Capone did create the logo, so thank you to both of you. 9.2 from Powdroy Girl, could be a 10 out of 10, but I've got to give it somewhere to go. You said this last week too. I loved it as per. It's exactly what I wanted. I am really happy to see mostly very happy people getting what they wanted, and it is something different. And again, one of my friends was messaging me last night who just started watching it. Much more hardcore Star Wars fan than me, I would say. He has like a full-size hand carbonite in his living room, much to his wife's disgust. He's old school. He loves The Mandalorian. He quite enjoyed the sequel trilogy, but he's old school. He's all about the OG, really. And yeah, he's not feeling it at the moment. But I have said to him, keep going. But I don't think a slow burn is for everybody. He doesn't like the slow burn. Does not like it. But I think in terms of Star Wars, you got to keep on going. It's just taking its time to get there. Alexandra Starr, okay, here's the low one. 5 out of 10. Slow burner, but let's wait and see. Also, where are the aliens? Because I've heard that criticism before, I think with Kenobi on Tatooine. But I felt there was quite a lot of aliens on the planet where we meet Andor. Can't remember its name now. Humans were the majority, yeah, but I felt like there was more. 5 out of 10. Remember, I'd always believe, and I do believe, that 5 is average. So actually, maybe it's not a low score. It's just an average score. And as Alexandra is saying, there's room, to maybe go back and reevaluate those scores once the season's done and dusted. Gaz and Fluffy, yes, feel that Andor is best Disney Plus Star Wars show that has been produced so far. I think it's the best produced show so far, for sure. It's the best looking show. In terms of enjoyment value at the moment, The Mandalorian still has that crown for me, but that could very well change. Rob H, 9.5 parsecs out of 10. And a question, Jamie, who do you think Mon Mothma wants to bring into the circle? That's a good question. Could it be Bale? Is that too obvious? That's pretty obvious, isn't it? But that's all I can think of. I think it has to be somebody obvious. Has Jimmy Smits been confirmed for Andor? I'm not sure he has. There's a few that they're going to save for season 2, like Alistair Petrie, who I interviewed on the channel, who is kind of a friend of mine. He plays Draven in Rogue One. I don't think he's in this season. He certainly wasn't in it when I last spoke to him, but they were still filming when I spoke to him. And, the way these things work, you can still be called up. So I feel like they are going to save a few people that you would expect and should show up. Like K2SO, we're led to believe is not going to show up till season 2. So yeah, maybe Bale. I don't know if Jimmy Smits has been confirmed. He might have, but that would be my guess. Who do you think? Right, more scores. Matthew Stokes. I give this episode an 8. Stellan Skarsgård is great. Yeah, absolutely. Jane Flakes, I'm loving Andor. The domestic life of Mon Mothma is interesting, and I think there is still a lot to come. Absolutely, 8 episodes, and we got a dinner party to come. 9 out of 10 for this episode from Clays. Glenn hasn't seen enough of Andor to rank it compared to the other shows or even films. Yeah, fair enough, man. I completely agree with that. Reserve judgment, and I think Kenobi did have some problems, but in terms of like breaking canon and a few things related to canon, people did jump to conclusions to attack it so soon, and mostly what was supposedly broken did get repaired, if you like, or explained by the end. And that's the problem, though, when you go for the weekly releases rather than doing it in one big Stranger Things dump, I suppose. Did I say Glaze 9 out of 10? If I didn't, I just did. Jane Flakes, if I was forced, to give it a score, I'd give it 10 out of 12. Gaz Nottingham's here. I hope you're doing well, Gaz. Sorry if I missed any messages before, but I can see you now. He's loving it so far, 8.5 out of 10. So, I think we're averaging between 8.5 and 9, actually, out of 10. Lowest being a 5 so far. Simon D, who I don't think's watching Andor, no score, but Geeknd Scotland road trip. I would love to do that. I would love to do that when this series is out and we know exactly what was done. I could just be lazy and do the London locations because I know they went back to Canary Wharf again. But hey, a road trip would be good. So yeah, maybe with some of the UK-based Geekenders, we could do it. I hate driving, so if somebody's up for driving, then that would be good. You obviously have a place in the car. Simon, can you drive? Peter, this was a nice 7.5 out of 10 and hoping it keeps getting better. Yeah, I think you gave lower scores than 7.5 last week. So that I think was a big improvement. And, for me, a 7.5 is a big score. Because remember, for me, 5 is average. Anything above 5 is above average. Madras Lorian getting some love from Matthew Stokes, I can see. Jane Flakes, okay, can't eat curry at the moment due to health reasons, but you do miss curry. Okay, so I understand. Doing a curry channel would be teasing you, tormenting you. I won't do it, Jane. Gaz Nottingham, so many Easter eggs and name drops in this series. We might get to see Slime more on screen. I think we've got to. I think too much time was spent discussing that dinner party. So unless she drops out of the dinner party, I assume we're going to see it in the next episode. David Ferrix, hope you're doing good. Yeah, that was the name of the planet, wasn't it? Thank you very much, David McKay. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Okay, Scotland has been confirmed as the location. Is this the Highlands? How would you say that? Crochan Reservoir. I know I'd say reservoir, about 50 miles south of Fort William. I don't know the Highlands very well. I only know Edinburgh and Glasgow, actually. Is that the Highlands? Oh, Leia's a good shout for who the outsider might be that Mon Mothma's bringing in. Oh, no, I'm stupid to say Bale because presumably he's in already. But then again, is he in already in canon? Because those Revenge of the Sith scenes got cut, didn't they? Which Simon alluded to earlier. But Peter was thinking Bale as well. Anders suggests, could it be Ahsoka that Mon Mothma is looking to get into the circle as she was the first fulcrum? Yeah, and Padrago says as well, I think we'll hear Fulcrum mentioned, but not seen. Sorry for my constant throat clearing, it seems. Alexandra says, I didn't dislike the episode, far from it, but it did drag a wee bit. This was a longer episode. I actually didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was longer to me, but it was a longer episode, wasn't it? The ISB scenes were a bit meh, but I enjoyed the intrigue going on, the many faces of everyone. Gaz and Fluffy, yeah, this was, somebody brought this up earlier. The McLaren Technology Centre was used for one scene. That's in Surrey in the UK. Yeah, that was posted in the Patreon Discord group earlier, and I looked it up to see where it is. Surrey in England. And it's not open to the public, which is a shame. So we'll have to break in. Simon, can you drive? And can you break into places for me, please, and take the rap? Rob H, I do think Bale might be too obvious. Wonder if it could be a military figure like Dodonna or Commander Sato from Rebels. Yeah. Oh, this is pronunciation suggestion. Crookin. I know how weird you Brits and Scots tend to pronounce the language. Yeah, the language we invented. Jane Flake says, I am loving the ISB stuff, so wish I could sew. I would have one of them uniforms. Gaz Nottingham, I would think that Bear was in it from the beginning, looking at the Ahsoka novel for confirmation. I think it could be Sato, Dodana, or even Saw Gerrera. That could make sense with Saw Gerrera, could it not? Because by the time we reach him in Rogue One, he's considered like a radicalist, a radical rebel, isn't he, by then? So perhaps he's not allowed in at this point, or is in and falls out. I don't know, but we're going to find out. Right, everybody, if you haven't already, stick your scores in, please. Matthew Stokesy says on the Imperial side, I'd love to see some Krennic in season 1 or season 2. I think that will happen. I think we'll see Krennic. I think we'll see Tarkin. Maybe season 2, more likely. Perhaps Vader and the Emperor. The Emperor, I think, at least in hologram form, because it makes sense. But yeah, I'm still thinking more season 2 for the big guns, if you like, to be brought out. All right, everyone. There was no Chad the Stopwatch Campbell today, but we've pretty much done over 30 minutes, so we've let him down, which is what I aim to do on a weekly basis. So I can wrap up here knowing that my work here is done, overrun. If you're new here, Chad tries to bring these into time of being under 30 minutes. It never happens. But thank you all. My score for this episode, I think I gave the first 3 an 8 overall. And I'm going to give this an 8.5, to be honest. But this is something I am going to go back and watch again for sure. And as always, the scores could change. So these are tentative scores at the moment. And I think we do have to reserve judgment quite a bit with this series because it is a slow burner. And I think, where it might take us might make you think differently to what you saw before that perhaps at the time you weren't that into. So I think, a lot of us might be chopping and changing our scores for better or worse. But thank you all for joining. There's a message here from Glenn. Mon Mothma would never want to bring Saw into the circle. Thank you, Clace. Hope you're doing good, mate. Hope you have a good evening. And wherever you are in the world, Clace is in Europe, so I do hope you have a good evening. But wherever you are, have a good afternoon or a good evening. Could be the morning, I suppose, if you're in like Australia or something. But thank you, everyone. So I will enjoy the biryani and I will think of you. I will think of you, Matthew Stokes, enjoying Madras Lorian. But yeah, time to start waving, everyone. I love you all. Thank you for joining. And we'll be back this time next week to talk about Andor episode 5. So keep waving because... there's a lag. I haven't actually clicked end broadcast yet. And even when I do, there's a lag. So keep waving. It's good exercise. You can